That's why it confuses me a little when people get weird around it. People ask me, how come you as a medical marijuana patient oppose 502? I thought it was legalizing marijuana. Well, thank you for asking. Let me tell you, and it's easy to explain. If marijuana were really legal in Washington state, then you could grow it, couldn't you? Cabbage is legal, tomatoes are legal, you can grow those. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need a piece of paper. You don't need some government guy to come in and tell you, yeah, you can grow that plant. When it's like that, it's going to be legal. Let me tell you another reason that 502 doesn't work for me. They can bust you for driving under the influence of marijuana the day after you smoke it, if you're smoking the good stuff like I am. For most medical marijuana patients, we are never legal to drive because we're always over that 5 nanogram limit. People, they set the limit too low when they're measuring impairment by marijuana on driving. You're not impaired at 5 nanograms if you're used to smoking, especially if you're using large amounts every day as a medical marijuana patient. That's just the way it is. There's another reason that 502 doesn't work for me. Under 502, local municipalities have the power to ban 502 pot shops.
No, they don't.
When they ban 502 pot shops, you create marijuana deserts. And yes, they in fact do have that power. They have been doing it, and 51% of the state would be very surprised to hear they don't ban marijuana when it is banned in 51% of the state already. Now, what that does is create marijuana deserts. That creates places where you have to drive 50 or 100 or 150 miles even to get marijuana. That may be okay if you're a recreational user and you feel like driving 150 miles for a joint. If you're sick, that's not okay. We can't send people 50 or 150 miles to get their medicine. That's just not right. There's one more reason that 502 really doesn't work for patients. That's because under 502, recreational marijuana farmers are allowed to use more than 200 pesticides. Now, you would think that maybe they would test for those pesticides that they specifically said you could use to make sure that unsafe levels of them aren't in the marijuana. Especially if you're a medical marijuana patient with a compromised immune system or compromised liver function, you don't want to be doing no poison. Pesticides should not be in your marijuana. Well, they allow those 200 plus pesticides, but they don't routinely test for them. That means that the marijuana in a 502 store could have all 200 of those poisons in there, and you won't know shit about it because they're not required to even tell you the levels of any of those pesticides. Now, if you want to smoke weed smoked in pesticides, that's all right, do your thing. I would prefer to have actual organic marijuana. That's some of the reasons that 502 doesn't work for me. Now, 5052 made it even worse because 5052 is basically a death sentence for all the medical marijuana collectors. That means the dispensaries after July 2016 are going to be closing down. That means that in one day, Seattle is going to go from